Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. On Sunday, Michelle Mone appeared on the Laura Kunsberg Conservative Ball Chortling Hour with her gobshite of a husband, Dougie Bowerman, bleating about how perfectly normal it is to steal £60 million of taxpayers' money for a few minutes' work, making a phone call and, ordering stuff. Two different things, masks and sterile gowns. They paid over the odds for these items and the gowns weren't fit for purpose, but they kept the money anyway. Because, fuck you, we like money! Another perfectly normal day on perfectly normal island. £60 million. That's more than you would earn in a lifetime if you were earning £1 million a year and you worked from the age of 18 to the age of 75. But Mone and Bowerman are convinced they've done absolutely nothing wrong. And that's the funny thing, because not only did they defraud taxpayers, such as you and I, of the best part of £250 million in all, they did so with the full knowledge and cooperation of the vile, cheating, stealing, clown carving of entitlement and embezzlement that is the modern Tory party. You see, even though Mone had been lying to the public for years that she and her horrible husband had nothing to do with PPE MedPro, the company that they invented, in order to carry out the biggest heist of public money that we know of in British history, she claimed that the Tory party knew all along. So by not countering her very loud and very public lies to the good people of the United Kingdom, the Tory party is complicit in what looks to everyone with at least half a brain to be a massive cover-up at the very top of government, shielding one of their own who was caught stealing a mind-blowing amount of money from the taxpayer and for arguably causing the deaths of an unknown number of medical staff whose lives were prematurely ended by both the lack of effective PPE and so much public money which could have been spent on effective PPE instead being given to these ghoulish grifters like Mone and Bowerman, the pandemic profiteers. The Tory top brass seem to have taken exception to this accusation by Mone that they were complicit in this grand theft mono, this clear med pro quo. To be fair to them, Mone has been lying all her life, fibbing on her CV to get her first job, telling porkies about Julia Roberts wearing one of her knockoff Wonder Bras in a movie, authorising the bugging of the operations director for the company she used to run, and flogging worthless cryptocurrency schemes to the dimly lit tech bro community. However, if Mone is telling the truth, for a change, about the fact that Tory ministers always knew about her personal connection to PPE MedPro, there are serious questions to be asked about why the government did not correct the record when she originally misled the people. And so naturally, Tory Lord Bethell, the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Innovation during the pandemic, took to Twitter to moan that Mone wasn't being honest about her financial interest in her husband's company, PPE MedPro, failing to adequately explain her financial involvement in the company set up by her thieving scumbag of a husband in May of 2020. And unfortunately for Baroness Mo Problems, he had brought receipts in the form of a WhatsApp message from Mone that implied that she was doing nothing more than relaying info from this completely independent enterprise from which her and her lizard husband were definitely not in line to line their greasy pockets with £60 million of taxpayers' money. But unfortunately for Lord Bethell, the posting of this screen grab, which he hoped would clear his implication in a major criminal act, that of a mega conspiracy to defraud the taxpayer out of billions of pounds so their mates could buy some bigger yachts, has landed him in hot water for another COVID-related crime, that of perjury. Mone jumped on Twitter to point out that, like Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, Bethell had claimed under oath that he had somehow lost all of his WhatsApp messages from 2020. And yet here is a screen grab of a WhatsApp message from Michelle Mone dated October 2020. Oh dearie me, what a terrible shame. Only joking, I'm loving this. I hope these thieving Tory, lying Tory toe rags fight like rats in a sack all the way to the big house. Because as satisfying as it is to see this kind of blue on blue attack play out in public, these are serious crimes that stem from the Tory pandemic profiteering and the subsequent quick, delete all the messages cover up. It very much seems that Bethell may have lied under oath. That is perjury. That is an offence that can come with a custodial sentence. And if this is anything to go by, it's not just Lord Bethell who has lied under oath to the COVID inquiry, so has Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, Michael Gove, Matt Hancock, and anyone else who refused to hand over their WhatsApp messages in full. Furthermore, there was news yesterday that in her written testimony to the COVID inquiry, Tory MP, stand-up and fighter, and sword holder extraordinaire, Penny Mordaunt, said her messages from 2020 have been remotely deleted from her phone by who knows? They know. They all know. Those messages weren't lost accidentally. They were deleted on purpose. The Tories and their cronies made so much money out of their COVID grift. It's obscene. But more than that, over 200,000 people died while they were busy partying and filling their boots with the nation's gold. The worst possible people in charge of the country at the worst possible time. Mone now faces legal action brought about by the Good Law Project and the New European newspaper. I said earlier that Mone lied to the people of the country. In her interview, it was clear that she had been coached to say she merely lied to the press to protect her fully grown children. Everyone hates the press and everyone loves children. So from a PR standpoint, that was a canny move. But since love it or hate it, the media is pretty much the only way we can find out about what the rich and powerful are doing with our money, the reality is that she lied to us, all of us. So it's not just the electoral obliteration of the Tory party that we have to look forward to in 2024. We might also see several of these reprobates, these con artists, philanderers, cheats, brigands, charlatans, snakes, scroats, stinkers, miscreants, knaves, wastrels, cowards, liars, and hourly promise breakers spend a good number of their godforsaken days on this planet shitting in a filthy prison toilet. No bog roll for them. Not good value for the taxpayer, you see. There's something to warm the cockles of your heart, innit? Happy Christmas, everyone. And as always, your comments on this matter are more than welcome.